Hello and most welcome to 1866 of the H series. We will today continue on Stephen D. Moore's excellent Retching on Rome. We will continue where we left off. Last time we came to an understanding brought by my colleague Kalle Lundahl here, that D-tone language that lacks emotion, lacks vibrato, and where the person is not really engaged in what he's saying. I remember when Kalle played at some instant some lecture of his professors, and he sounded in a D-tone voice. There was no, he tried to pretend to be objective, or he was objective. This is also what happened to religion. We cannot feel religion or God when the voice detones, when our movements get oversimplified. Ooh, there's a tremendous storm here in my town. So this old lady not being able to walk. Not the best of moments to have a lecture. And I'm not speaking about this one. Yes, it's prior to its processing by language, cognition, reason. The bodily existence, I think we came to an agreement, is simultaneous, or we can't really say it's before, if I remember correctly.
Indeed.
Comes so to speak together. These features is what Wittgenstein called primitive expressions. There is nothing of pejorative in that expression, though, very clear. We also saw to the bodily experience, how the body's entity also are posture, and that feelings, the Deleuze-Guattarian realization, that feelings are not internal. They participate in the outsideness. Otherwise, they wouldn't make any sense at all. There wouldn't be feelings like sort of inside. They would be absolutely nonsensical in that case. Moore has an excellent tale, engaging. He's using a rich language. He has used his intelligence, skills, creativity to make something that gets my attention and drives me into the text. It's a whole world of difference, according to me, when you compare to academia text. I'm reading a book now about rhetorics. It is dead as a dodo, bears no creativity, no literary traits whatsoever. And this is this detoned written language, using words that are completely empty, cannot bear any meaning. The words echoing, so to speak, literally echoing. I continue. We are presently at page 509. My relationship to my Bibles, however, is more intimate still. For the pages are also indelibly marked by the secretions and excretions of my sebaceous and sudoriferous glands. My bodily fats, waxes, and acids have leaked copiously into those delicate, unprotesting pages, bounded chemically. With them, my NRSV and UBS contain my DNA, while the limbic system of my brain contains much of my Bibles. Our relationship is intercorporal, intercellular. The words of my Bibles are encoded in the biologically enriched pages, now seething with microscopic life. The trauma of physiological change is odd, fractured, bizarre, confounding. What is the agent here? Not who, what? And those words are also encoded, however muddily and murkily, in my medial temporal lobe. They are not once external and internal, material and mental, physical and psychic, visceral and virtual. For are not literary texts in particular, and sacred texts above all, human objects? The human contains all manner of objects within its envelope. Envelope. Or more precisely, objects that thoroughly dissipate the ontotheological binaries of persons and things, vibrant life and dull matter. Dull.
Vibrant.
Matter. What's the matter? Matter. What is the matter? My relationship with the Bible is a bodily affair then. A tactile, textual, material, ideational, ethical, emotional affair of two unbounded bodies. Unbounded. And that relationship can only be crudely captured in language, if at all.
Oh.
It is a sensate relationship characterized by intensities. Those intensities are only part conscious at best, and hence admit only of oblique articulation at most.
Oblique articulation.
Oblique. In Deleuzian Meshumian theory, intensities are what catalyze the making real of the virtual. The unrepresentable intensities of my affective communion with the pre-interpreted, pre-digested, pre-incorporated textual bodies of my Bible. So I went to the angel and told him to give me the little scroll. And he said to me, take it and eat.
Yum.
In unpredictable interaction with the unrepresentable intensities of your affective communion with the pre-interpreted, pre-digested, pre-incorporated textual bodies of your Bible, and yours and yours and yours are what catalyze the virtuality of those inherently senseless yet sense-intensive texts. It was as sweet as honey in my mouth. But when I had eaten it, my stomach was made bitter. As disciplined discourse and orderly meaning in the discipline of biblical studies, affective intensity is what is discipline most of all. Ahmed and effect. How might all or any of these translate into literary interpretation or biblical exegesis? The editors of the affect theory reader leave us guessing, and so too, by and large, do all its contributors. Most affect theory tends to huddle under the umbrella of cultural studies rather than that of literary studies.
Sorry.
There was a footnote there. I'm assuming, maybe we should take it. I'm not that familiar with Masumi. If you go up just a couple of lines like that. What Masumi has to say about emotion also holds true for scholarly discourse. Emotion is qualified intensity, the conventional consensual point of insertion of intensity into semantically and semiotically form progressions into narrativizable action-reaction circuits, into function and meaning. It is intensity owned and recognized. Analysis of literary texts are the exception rather than the rule in affect theory. Sarah Ahmed, who she says offer close readings of texts in the culture politics of emotion, seems to feel a need to apologize for it. For a book about emotions, which argues that emotions cannot be separated from bodily sensations, this book may seem very oriented toward text. Yet Ahmed's texts are not literary texts, but texts that circulate in the public domain and include websites, government reports, political speeches, and newspaper articles. Articles, my echo. My echo, where are you? I will be using Ahmed's enormously suggestive book to tackle an ancient text, which, while literary, also circulates in the public domain. My affect-attuned reading of Revelation is facilitated by the fact that Ahmed refuses the strict Deleuzian-Masumian separation of affect and emotion, opting instead for a version of affect that, while sensate, intense, and transpersonal, is also indissociable from emotion.
Emotion.
While sensation, read affect, and emotion are irreducible, they cannot simply be separated at the level of lived experience. If you can bring the text down a bit, especially at the end of a page, it's good to have it in the middle. The intricate movements of emotion in and around revelation are tricky enough to track, as we shall see. Reading apocalyptic affect with Deleuze and his disciples. Disciples. Wait there. What do you know about me, given that I believe in secrecy?
Secrecy.
We'll have to wait another day. Now, your disgust.
Yeah.
The apocalypse of John is affect intensive. What revelation reveals, uncovers, unclothes, indecently exposes, the veil lifted from about the thing. First of all, if we can say this, man's or woman's sex is an abyssal loathing. And what revelation aims to effect through affect is to infect its audience with that infinite abhorrence. Like the God-controlled zombie cannibals of 1716 and 17. It is the book of zombies. The apocalyptic audience must loathe the whore, both because she is the source of all that is filthy, detestable, and obscene. Mother of whores and of earth's abominations.
Yeah.
And because entire nations are perversely drunk with lust for her as a result, eager to wallow in her filth. How best to take the measure of this immeasurable disgust before turning to performativity of disgust, the organization of hate, and the other relevant chapters of Ahmed's The Cultural Politics of Emotion. I want to propose preliminary that Revelation's apocalyptic disgust is a hyperbolic expression and reciprocal effect of its immense obsession with purity. I have become increasingly convinced by those who argue that purity is a central preoccupation in Revelation. The symbolic lines of separation in Revelation run consistently between the pure and the impure. Those who follow the Lamb have washed their robes with his cleansing blood. When they follow him to war, they will wear fine linen, white and pure clean, katharon, and they will wear it again when they assume their corporate role as the pure bride of the Lamb. Bah. They are a community of priests and as such custodians of purity. They have not been defiled, made dirty with women, and as such they are unblemished. Amomi, Jezebel, and her followers, in contrast, perform impure acts, eating meat that has been sacrificed to idols and engaging in illicit sex. The woman Babylon, for her part, not only abandons herself to defiling sexual activity, her cup contains the impurities, pollutions of her prostitution, fornication, but she even drinks blood, the ultimate impurity. When she mutates into a city, Babylon is home to demons and every unclean spirit and every unclean and loathsome akathartoke menis meno, bird and animal. In contrast, nothing unclean, profane shall enter the holy city. Its conspicuous cubic structure evokes the inner sanctuary of Solomon's temple. A temple mobile, fragile, or destroyed. The ark is no more than a little portable packet of signs. Signs. The most holy place, and hence the place most inimical to impurity. In short, as Hannah Stenstrom concludes, Revelation provides a textbook example of how purity can structure a symbolic universe. What affect theory enables us to see, in addition, is that purity in Revelation is structured in turn by the push-pull movements of emotion. Even as Revelation elaborates a cultural politics of purity, it also elaborates a cultural politics of emotion. Or as Ahmed puts it, emotions work by working through signs and on bodies to materialize the surfaces and boundaries that are lived as worlds. Worlds. Echo. Echo. Sticky sex work. Ooh. My God. What work does the great whore, Revelation 17:1, perform in the construction of the apocalypse's affect-intensive world?
Affect. Intense.
Ahmed impels us to reconceive the whore as a circulating object that is sticky. I begin with the messiness of the experiential.
Messiness.
Or saturated with affect. Stickiness for Ahmed, you can take it down a bit, especially at the end, involves a transference of affect. Affect, indeed, is precisely what sticks or what sustains or preserves the connection between ideas, values, and emotions. How does the stickiness of affect come about? Stickiness is an effect of a history of articulation, and in and through such laden histories, certain objects accumulate certain effects. The affect disgust, for example, sticks more to some, leave it, sticks more to somebody's and now than others. The denigrative terms used to denote such bodies, for instance, the term torni, whore, streetwalker, porni, whore, streetwalker, brothel slave. In Revelation, also stick to them by means of felt associations with other contingent terms that are not and do not need to be spoken, impure, unclean, abominable, detestable, filthy, shamed, and so on. John, however, as though not altogether trusting in the stickiness of porni, to relay its associative baggage safely to the audience, spells out one of these terms. And on her forehead was written a name, a mystery, Babylon, the great, mother of pornon and of earth's deligmaton. To track the bedelt lemma through LSG and Bagden Tulg. How was discussed before the word disgust? How did that alliteration almost happen? Trianon. It is a question. Bedeligma, bedeligmia, bedeligmos, bedelictos, bedelisoma, is to pick one's way gingerly and queasily through a sticky, slimy, and altogether unsavory set of terms, while trying hard not to breathe through one's nose. Nausea, sickness, filth, nastiness, defilement, abomination, disgusting, abhorrent, detestable, loathsome. Feel a loathing for food.
Nami nami.
Feel a loathing at. Cause to stink. Make loathsome or abominable. Abominable. Fear and loathing in Las Vegas. That's the new Babylon. In Revelation, Babylon is the source of all these putrescence and execration, and more. She is, after all, the mother of Earth's deligmaton.
Deligmaton blä.
Sperm, saliva, glare, curdled drool, tears of milk, gel of vomit. All these heavy and white substances are going to glide into one another, be agglutinated. The fount of all uncleanness, Bedeligma, sticks to Babylon's forehead like a leech.
Oi.
Riffs in the ornate cup she lifts to her lips. Holding in her hand a golden cup full of Bedeligmaton and the unclean things, Takatharta, of her fornication, and slithers down her throat. She is a hyperbolic figure of disgust. Wow. Yet Jezebel provides an even better example than Babylon of the ways in which stickiness is an effect of the histories of contact between bodies, objects, and signs. Or to phrase it slightly differently, stickiness depends on histories of contact that had already impressed upon the surface of the object. For John, the true followers of Jesus Messiah are the remnant of Israel, and thus Israel in its totality. The others are in John's eyes no longer part of Israel, whatever they may think about themselves. The rival female prophet, vilified by John, whom he scathingly renames Jezebel, Jezebel, epitomizes these intimate others. In the case of Jezebel's histories of contact between Israel and not Israel, reimagined in tradition and literature. I think literature is an excellent stopping point. Let's see where we are. Literature. Could it be 516? Yes. Let's see here. 515, yeah? Or 516?
16. 16.
Have it. Let's go for some quotes here. Page 510. There's two quotes here. The fourth paragraph on that page 510, a very short one, they're all very short quotes, more or less. And as discipline, discourse, and ordinary meaning, in the discipline of biblical studies, affective intensity is what is disciplined most of all. So it takes away every act from the body. Remember pain. If you don't show pain, the word pain won't mean anything. Or slowly begin to wither its meaning. The same is happening here. If there is no affective, there is no doing, there is a belief that concentrate on what they believe to be the subject, take away intention, take away meaningfulness of the words. They will in the end be detoned. This is what we learn from Jacques Derrida in Life and Death. There he pointed to how Bernard, Jacques Monod, François, Jacob detoned their language. They made a pretended unaffected voice in their written format which of course is parallel with detonement in their actual voice. We know words that don't have intensity do not carry meaning. Talking is an act as well. And do you not train it with effect, with intensity, it slowly withers its meaning. This we already know from phonetics. It seems to be something that is very common in many different fields, but here more takes up how it works in biblical studies. To remove God from the picture is a metaphor for something else. And then we go to Ahmed and effect, and Ahmed and effect. How might all or any of these translate into literary interpretation or biblical exegesis? And if we go over to the next page, we can take out a site that will give some more juice to that. Sarah Ahmed on the second line here, who she says offer a close reading subtext and more affected text. That's the idea. Although there are some doubts to the level of it, but it's going in the right direction. We have been detoning all of the Bible for now almost for half a millennia. And that's the search for the meaning in the words, thereby detoning, making the words more private, little by little. So in the end, they will not be understood by anyone. I had a nightmare a couple of nights ago. I dreamt about this and I saw the number 666. And I think detonement is how 666 works. It slowly rids all spirituality of its value. So instead of coming abruptly, like in the rapture, it comes slowly, without notice, without warning. This is what Deleuze and Guattari are pointing to, the modern history of detoning and going to, as we would say, I think we usually mention in this series, the Ian McGill-Christian left hemispheric thinking, where it's a shutdown loop-like procedure that doesn't reach into the body. It's mentioned here in the text. The Deleuze-Guattarian body, the Bible that is quenched in saliva, gland extracts, the sudoer glands and all that, shows that there is human being, there is flesh and blood, instead of the imitation of technology the other ones do. They are solely influenced by Cartesian thinking and Newton. They want to take away the person and thereby also taking away all of meaning. Meaning disappears. Maybe that is the whore of Babylon, the Jezebel working underneath, but now in not so obvious costume anymore, but hidden behind, lurking, stealing meaning, stealing spirituality little by little. And what is the result? Here in Sweden, only 2% compared to 100% 200 years ago attend weekly church meetings. It is the lowest ever in the history of the universe, any country, any population. Jezebel had been working hard. Kalle, please join.
Yes. Let me see if I can make this work. Deleuze and Guattari, they have a role in this paper. Let me repeat. In my opinion, Deleuze and Guattari make two mistakes. We mentioned one of the mistakes already at the previous lecture. Let me see. Okay, I put this here. The first mistake, we mentioned it already. I will not.
Yeah, I noted it. Yeah.
That was the first mistake.
Mm.
And the second mistake is from today's lecture. Here, this phrase. My affect-attuned reading of Revelation is facilitated by the fact that Ahmed refuses the strict Deleuzian, Masumian separation of affect and emotion, opting instead for a vision of affect that, while sensate, intense, and transpersonal, is also indissociable from emotion.
Yeah.
So Deleuze, okay, they're big names, Deleuze and so, but I think absolutely they make two mistakes.
Yeah.
Unforgivable mistakes almost. Not unforgivable, but at least the second is the first one is easy to make. Everybody makes that.
Yeah,
It's only Wittgenstein who points
indeed.
out. But the second is almost unforgettable. Unforgettable.
Unforgivable.
Unforgivable. Separate this kind of. Here also Wittgenstein can help us. His metaphor of family resemblance.
Yeah. There is a family resemblance going on. Very good. Yeah, I like it.
And I could also mention Derrida plays a role in this paper, as you observed, I think. Let me see. So let me mention there are mostly footnotes. So this is the paper that we went through in the month of May.
Yeah.
This is very, very important. But I will not repeat it here. This one. Here, this is a surprise. Not a surprise really, but Gla.
Yeah, yes.
Because this paper is very inspired by this work by Derrida, Gla. In one way, in more than one way or another, more than one way. So all these quotations here, they are very Derrida-like. So in the book Gla, Derrida puts in 3 columns with 3 overlapping texts. One by Hegel, and second is by now it escapes me, but there is a dialogue between 3 texts in 3 columns. Here it's not 3 columns, but here we have this kind of insertions, as you see. This is a direct quotation from Gla also. And also in Gla, there is something else that plays a role, is onomatopoetic words, like the word Gla. That is very onomatopoetic. And in this paper, we have the word delugma, which means disgust. It almost sounds like the Swedish yeah, which is onomatopoetic word for disgust. Delugma. And it's and if you only give it in a dictionary definition, disgust, it's rather it's a planned translation. If you don't get, you should almost put an exclamation point, or perhaps even add a Swedish blä after that.
Yeah, it could be a good idea actually. Yeah, very good. Not half bad as they sing in English.
Mm.
No, it's true. I think no one goes as far as Wittgenstein, and it can only go that far by using what is absolutely obvious once you really think about it.
Mm. Indeed. Let me see, footnote 46 is from Anatomy of Disgust. From
More
certain Miller.
disgust. Oh no, not more disgust.
So it's excellent quotation from Miller. How was discussed before the word disgust? So you cannot really separate words from feelings. They are simultaneous. And let me take up some fun. Mr. Creosote.
Now, Mr. Creosote, yeah.
Who explodes. He's so fat he explodes.
That's a good one. The exploding guy.
So this is really what. And it disappeared. There was some. The Firefox crashed. So, but I think we could perhaps end there.
If you want, yes. It was great. It's good to see what other dealers showing up, and it's also interesting that our views on them, at least mine, has changed considerably, and it goes to show that maybe a lot has happened during these 1800 episodes, and of course he's probably very inclined to like Jezebel as well, Mr. Creosote. Very good ending, Kalle. Thank you very much for participating, Kalle Lundahl. Thank you everyone for listening in. Have a very pleasant day, morning, afternoon, or wherever you are. Bye-bye for now.
Thank you.